Welcome to Cyber Advisor Live this Thursday. We're going to talk about MDM, mobile device management. You have Todd as a service again this week.
Taz.
Yeah, Taz. James thought he was going to get rid of me, but it didn't happen. I think some of the reason we're going to talk about this, there's been some headlines going around that, as you can see behind us, that hackers are targeting charging stations to steal data from your phone.
So not to segue or like sidetrack us, but this kind of reminds me of in the airports where people used to get those little outlet stickers, and stick them on the walls, and you go, they try and plug their plugs in.
Great, right?
So they figured, okay, we're going to beat this now. We're just going to go to the one that looks like a USB and plug it in.
Plug it in, right? So it's kind of the trend, James. I mean, it happened. If you think back, it happened with the whole ATM swipes at the gas pumps, and
it's still happening with those.
Yeah, absolutely. But
it's all over the place.
I'm saying though, now it's plug your phone in to charge it, and all of a sudden all your data's gone or it's hacked.
Well, it's like that old thing too, the old concept with computer security. Throw a couple USB drives out in the parking lot at a company and see what happens when they plug them in.
I really wanted to do that kind of as a marketing campaign, here you go, stick it in your computer and then call us because now you're hacked.
Yeah, that might be.
That's wrong. We couldn't do that. That would be bad.
So, anyways, Todd was talking real quick, and we'll go ahead about why MDM is important and stuff. But I just wanted to throw this out there. If you do charge your phone in a lot of public places, you can't guarantee your employees are going to do this for you all the time. But it may add an extra layer of security, at least for you personally, as a physical device. They do make this device over here. It's called a PortaPal. MDM is going to eliminate all the human error side of it. We'll talk about that as we have our discussion. But that's one little physical device you can plug in that'll at least kind of get you out of the realm of having to worry about that personally for you. Maybe like your family, your kids, things like that. Right. You may just say, hey, I want to do something a little extra as an added level of security for those types of devices. But on the corporate side, we really have to talk about why even that's not going to work. So,
well, let's talk about that. So I have my phone here.
Right.
All of my personal stuff's in here, my credit cards, all of my personal data, my contacts, ICE contacts, all that. But I also have all my emails, company emails. I have my OneDrive in here. I actually save sometimes PDFs, company PDFs. So James, tell me what would happen if I lost my phone or set my phone down at the bar and I turned around to talk to somebody and all of a sudden I turn back and my phone's gone.
After about 30 minutes of nervous sweating and probably running around and thinking about how you just lost your whole life on your cell phone, then you would realize, oh, I lost my cell phone. Let me report that to my higher ups within my company because I can't find it anywhere.
Right.
And as soon as that happened, at Data Tech at least, because we run MDM on our devices, we'd be able to wipe that device remotely. Or maybe just locate it.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many times people leave a device sitting somewhere and we are able to lock that device remotely, ensure that it's locked, even issue like a passcode change to it just in case. And then they go back and they find that device, geolocation through MDM, and it's sitting on their bedroom dresser, and they thought they had it the whole time.
Right.
And they said, "Oh wait, I just left it at home today. I reached in my pocket because that's where it's always at. I know for me, I keep my keys in my right pocket, wallet in my back right pocket, and my phone in my left pocket. So when I hit my left pocket, if I don't feel my phone, which it's not there right now, my instinct is I lost it somewhere if I don't know where I left it."
So let's just to be clear, and it doesn't matter if I have a iPhone, I have an Android, I have a tablet. That mobile device platform can go on any of those devices.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just about when we talk about MDM. We usually think of things like making sure that your employees are doing what they're supposed to do on corporate-owned devices, or making sure that they have passwords on their devices. But there's really a bunch of different reasons you would want to do it, right? First and foremost, if you're buying company-owned devices or you have new employees coming in on a frequent basis and you have to get them onboarded quickly, faster setup time. They install MDM, it pushes all your company applications to their device. They're already set up, ready to go. They can already download emails and everything else too.
So wait a minute, you're telling me that somebody doesn't have to sit and put every app on your phone?
No.
Really?
The other one is same with the corporate devices, right? So great, we decide we're going to go to corporate-owned devices. We're not going to do BYOD or bring your own device. Mm-hmm. We're going to do the corporate-owned route, which we do have companies we deal with that do that. So now you've got 20, 40, 50 cell phones running around in your company, and you're wondering what's installed on them and everything else. But with MDM, not only can we push the applications to those devices to say this is the only applications that we want installed, we can also restrict applications. So when we talk about restricting an application, right, our instinct is, well, great, if I restrict the application, that means that I'm not going to have people surfing Facebook while they're at work.
Right.
Or doing Twitter or Instagramming or Snapchatting or whatever else. It's not just the user productivity you lose, it's the cost of that, because that person's like burning your mobile data. They're out, they're driving around all day, and they're like, oh, cool, I just had the best lunch at Panera Bread. Let me take a picture of it to put on my Instagram and put the lo-fi filter on it and upload it. And so they do that, and they do it on their mobile device, corporate owned. They're burning through their data. Maybe they're doing it on their personal device, and you're reimbursing them for their personal device. There's a cost to that.
Yeah.
And MDM, what's interesting is the offset of what it costs you in MDM to implement MDM is actually cheaper than the data costs that you're paying right now for your employees to surf Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, stream YouTube videos, all while they're out on the road or in the office, maybe sitting in your conference room right now watching this video with you.
Right.
So, and then you really get into like the other part of that, right? Stronger security, which we always focus on security as an IT company.
We do.
In mitigating risk and data loss prevention and things like that. So it's not just that whole concept of, okay, we can secure you from these charging ports and we can do that. It's also all the other things you're going to get. You're going to spend money on MDM and save money on the backside of it in terms of your overall device management and your data usage.
So you mentioned something kind of interesting this week when we were kind of talking about this and talking about, you were talking about encrypted containers.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about that a little bit,
right.
Because you talked about bring your own device. So let's say this isn't a company-owned device. This is my device.
Right.
But I'm having, like we talked about, I'm having company information on this device. So
right.
Let's talk about the encrypted containers.
So when you get into more of the HR world, SHROOM is an example, Society for Human Resources Management. The overwhelming documentation and information that they put out is that you're putting yourselves at significant human resources risk if you're wiping employees' personally owned devices, even if they sign a policy saying that you can do it.
Right.
Because they signed that policy at the beginning of their employment, not realizing maybe when they had their device the amount of personal information on that device. So now you're executing on that on this pretense that they had signed this policy at the beginning.
When they first started.
Right, when they first started.
Right.
In the meantime, they've got 4 years worth of pictures from their baby being born and everything
right.
else. They haven't backed it up, and then you go and wipe their device, and now you've got a big issue on your hands.
They're really upset.
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole reason that we wipe devices typically is that, or a company issues that kind of moratorium or ultimatum, is that they want to not have a position where they're worried about their data, their corporate trade secrets, or
Sure.
or the confidentiality of their data after an employee leaves, or if a device gets lost even. And so part of MDM actually creates encrypted containers on the device itself that can hold all those applications. And not only can it hold those applications, it can hold the data associated with those applications. So let's say you have like a corporate email program that you use. That corporate email program can reside inside of that encrypted container, and all the data associated with that can reside in that encrypted container on the employee's existing device. So if you had to wipe the device, you're wiping just that encrypted container. You're not touching all of their personal data. So you have the guarantee of knowing that your data is always somewhere encrypted. It's always somewhere where you're able to enforce these device policies. But if the employee was ever to leave, or you had to worry about data loss in any way, shape, or form, lost device, things like that, you don't have to worry about whether or not you can remove that data. It's a simple one click and it's done. The device is untouched. As far as the end user is concerned, all they know is that if they still have that device in their hands, all they know is you've removed your data and not all of their data.
Nice.
So, and we like to think we're immune to it. That's never going to happen to me or my company.
Right.
And I had to pull this data up because I remembered reading the article in 2010. Thursday, March 18th, 2010. Apple employee goes to a bar to celebrate his birthday, has a few drinks, leaves the prototype iPhone 4 sitting on the bar stool in the bar,
Yeah.
And Gizmodo, the blogging company, paid $5,000 for an exclusive photo shoot of the iPhone 4 prototype.
Right.
So this is like the guy had it in a case. It was the prototype phone for the iPhone 4, and he was field testing it, went out for drinks, and left it sitting on a bar stool. So here's a company that deals in more of the IT space, computer equipment, trade secrets, all this stuff, and they just left their prototype that wasn't even out in the market. It was like so they usually release iPhone September or so.
Right.
Left it out there 6 months before it was supposed to come out. So, and that's not even data, that's just physical hardware.
Right.
So imagine like if there was data that resided on that and they couldn't locate that device, and it took them I think it took them a solid I want to say 48 or 72 hours to find the device. And by that time, it was already out in the public. Gizmodo had already run an article on it. And that happens everywhere. I mean, data loss happens everywhere too. That's just a trade secret. Data loss happens everywhere too. So it's that easy as somebody walking into a bar, like you said earlier,
right,
grabbing your phone off the counter because you had it out, you were looking at something, you turned around and talked to somebody, and that's where you end up. Yeah,
it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Think he still works for Apple?
Huh? I have no idea. I didn't. I tried to find a guy. It's like Apple paid. They were suing companies left and right to get these articles taken down. So it was really hard to find the date too.
Right.
I had to go on Google and typing in iPhone 4 bar, 2010, trying to figure out when it happened. Yeah. So, one of the things that I thought was interesting as we talked last week before we came in to have this conversation was that when you look at the percentage of people that think iPhones or not iPhones, but just in general, that mobile devices are critical. So I'm going to flip the script on Todd a little bit. He didn't know me to do this. Got to hide my iPad because it has my notes on it.
Okay.
So there's a 2018 Oxford Economic Survey, and they were asking respondents, company employees basically, what percentage of employees do you think stated they can't do their jobs effectively without a mobile device? Well, let's go with this. More than 50% or less than 50%?
They can't do their job without their phone?
Yeah.
More than 50%.
Yeah. It was 80. So 80%.
80%.
80% said that they can't do their jobs effectively without a mobile device. 82% said that they believe mobile devices are critical to employee productivity. So now you've got this whole overwhelming group of people.
Oh, sure.
Phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's even more interesting about that is that then they followed that up with another survey. And they asked how many people have used their personal device or their corporate device to access their corporate network, corporate email, or corporate cloud services from a public Wi-Fi network, like a coffee shop, airport, or hotel.
Right.
With open with no password or
No
anything.
password.
Yeah. 76%.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
So when we talk about mobile device management, that's another thing that you can get feature-wise. You can get you can actually restrict settings down to say these devices aren't going to be allowed to connect to open public hotspots.
Right.
And it eliminates a lot of man-in-the-middle attacks, things like that. I mean, we had a client that had a man-in-the-middle attack connecting a corporate device to an airport Wi-Fi hotspot, and ended up having man-in-the-middle. It had nothing to do with their mobile device management or anything else like that. It was a personal device that they were carrying for business.
But those personal devices you still use to just like we do it.
Right.
Your personal device. Sometimes you've got to connect into your email to grab an email.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened in
Right.
this case. And it's like you don't think about that stuff. You say, oh, I need Wi-Fi. Where can I grab Wi-Fi? Oh, here's free Wi-Fi, and they jump on and they.
And everybody has free Wi-Fi now.
Of course.
For everybody.
Of course.
You can go to Burger King and get free
I
Wi-Fi.
was at dinner last night with my wife, and I told her, she said her battery was running low on her phone, and I said, well, where were you? And she said, I was at the Florida Aquarium. I said, they have free Wi-Fi.
Right.
I'm like, did you sign into the Wi-Fi? Because it would have saved your cell phone battery.
Right.
And she goes, no. So, I mean, it's just little stuff like that.
Sure.
We expect the free Wi-Fi to exist everywhere, and it's great because we save our mobile data.
Right.
But I don't know if it's not always the best idea when
It's
it
not
comes to
always the
business
best idea.
communication.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
So, but going into that, what I would say when we talked about these earlier, the porta-pals, the data blockers, mobile device management, you can create policies in terms of written policies for your employees and guidelines for how they use corporate devices, and you could even go so far as to pick those devices up from them once a day and inspect them if you wanted to. But it's a lot. What I was going to say is mobile device management as a whole, when you look at the cost associated with it, really creates a solid, secure ecosystem for you to have all of your corporate owned devices and even some of your personal owned devices for your higher level execs and things like that in this secure enclave for a very minimal cost. It'll actually end up saving your company money in the long term in terms of data. And the reassurance of knowing that you don't have to over-engineer your policies inside your company. It's just a no-brainer. It really is.
It kind of enforces that accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, you can write the policy.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm going to follow the policy.
Right.
Or any of your other employees are going to follow it. But with mobile device management, that actually pushes that policy that you've written down and enforces it and
Right.
makes everybody accountable.
Right. I'll just leave basically like 5 things that you can do with mobile device management, just so everybody remembers
Okay.
kind of the 5 takeaways. Geolocation of the device. So if you're trying to track your employees, or you want to track where those devices actually are and where they reside. Perfect example would be an employee tells you that the device they have, they left at home, and then you look it up and home isn't really home. Home is 4 states away, and you're going, wait, you must have lost the device.
Right.
The other one would be data loss prevention and data security. Access control, making sure that only that employee has access to that device and they haven't signed their kids up to use their corporate iPad. One of the other ones would be restriction of applications, making sure that you're able to save on your corporate data utilization, things of that nature. And then the last one I would put in there is asset management. Knowing what, knowing how many devices you actually have out in the field and what those devices are doing and the reporting you can get from them. So
Right.
there's a lot of really, really, really good reasons to look at mobile device management if you're using company-owned phones or bring your own device.
And the ease of setup that you talked about. I mean, we've done large deployments
Right.
where we've had 500 iPads
Right.
that we just turned on. They check in, and all of a sudden they have all the applications that they need to operate.
Right.
So,
Right.
we're getting close to time. Yeah. Oh, we're over time. So go ahead. I'm going to let James roll us out like he does every day.
Well, thank you for joining us for our IT Thursday and mobile device management with Todd as a service.
Taz.
Myself, Taz. We look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.